currently benefiting from the NPower program. Exactly. And we have 8,251 beneficiaries that have been pre-selected in the 2017, and 7,000 were being verified, and soon they will soon be deployed.
Gombe State NPower ambassadors and some officials at the program described the scheme as a welcome development which has impacted positively on the lives of many youths, and appealed for support of the state government towards the successful implementation of the program in the state.
As beneficiaries of the federal government relevant NPower initiatives in Gombe State, we join thousands of other beneficiaries across the country in dismissing the recent call. We are a testimony to the present administration's efforts in fighting corruption and creating impact in the lives of all Nigerians. This NPower is the most or the highest impact to the use of this our recognition.
The beneficiaries pledged to continue to support Mr. President's drive in addressing the needs of Nigerians. In Gombe, I am Telatula, NTA News.
We're gradually coasting home as we take our last break now. When we return from the break, we shall look at the latest from the Commonwealth Games and tributes of the National Assembly to their fallen colleagues. Don't go away.
Registration is now open for state and sports clubs to participate with free accommodation and feeding for athletes and officials on the basis of first come, first served at the first National Grassroots Sports Festival, Sports for All, to discover sport talent, develop future world champions, and rejuvenate sports in Nigeria. Date 19 to 29th of April 2018. Venue National Stadium Abuja, packages A and B. This is an opportunity for state governors to mobilize supporters and fans for their state through broadcast sponsorship and for companies to promote their brand. For broadcast sponsorship, contact Angelo Peter I. Elosia, Chairman and Chief Coordinator, or Nick Onyisi. Organizers, Grassroots International Sports Academy and LOP Worldwide Television. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Broadcast partner NTA, the largest television network in Africa.
Thank you for being there with us. Now, Nigerian athletes who have won medals at the ongoing Commonwealth Games have been financially rewarded as Thursday marks day 8 at the Games. Ayodeji Makinde gives a roundup on day 7 events in our Commonwealth Games update.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development Tuesday redeemed its pledge of immediate monetary rewards to Team Nigeria medal winners at the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. The 4 gold medalists, Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Roland Ezerike, Ndidi Unwosu, and Esther Onyema, each received $5,000 from Sports Minister Solomon Dalun. Lucy Ejike and Paul Kehinde, who won silver in para powerlifting, and Chukwuebuka Enekwachi, who equally won silver but in shot puts, were given $3,000 each. The table tennis team, which equally won silver, were given $9,000 to be shared among the 4: Shegun Toriola, Bode Abiodun, Aziz Jamiu, and Omotayo Olajide. Coaches were rewarded with the same amount of money as their athletes. Meanwhile, Esther Onyema, who set a new world record by lifting 131 kg in the women's lightweight powerlifting final Tuesday, has joined other medalists in pleading for an audience with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. According to them, meeting the president in Abuja after the games will further boost their morale and encourage other physically challenged athletes. Para powerlifting event alone gave Nigeria a total of 6 medals, 4 gold and 2 silver on Tuesday at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. The Nigeria para powerlifting team were captured behind the scenes ahead of their participation in the finals that took them to the podium.
Some don't have a wheelchair, you understand? It's not easy. Some, it takes a long time to get to the training venue where we train. So it's not easy for them in Africa, but because they like to struggle and to put in their best, I love them. And when they tell me they love me, I weep sometimes because I know I have contributed to their life and to their success. You understand? Because you don't have an athlete without a coach, and you don't have a coach without an athlete. So we work together. They are my success and their success.
You know what to do as a coach because he has once been an athlete just like us. So you know what it takes when you are training an athlete to be a champion. I think he deserves a handshake.
In boxing, Nigeria's Yetunde Odunuga edged out Caroline Vere of Ireland by 3-2 in the quarter-final of the women's 60 kg to proceed to the semi-final stage. Moving to athletics, where Amantul Moncho of Botswana added to the medal haul of African countries at the Games as she raced to victory in the women's 400 meters final, recording a season's best of 50.15 seconds in the process. Nigeria's Yinka Ajayi finished 8th in a time of 52.26 seconds.
Amantul Moncho regains the crown she won in such fine style in Delhi. She really had to earn that one.
On the medal table, Australia are still leading with a total of 145 medals. South Africa are in the 4th position and Nigeria has dropped to the 10th position. With Commonwealth Games update, I'm Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
We have more sports stories. Nigeria Volleyball Federation to host 12 club sides in a Zone 3 competition as UEFA initiates disciplinary proceedings against Man City boss Pep Guardiola. Amanzi Marcus has the reports.
Nigeria Volleyball Federation is set to host Zone 3 African Volleyball Club Championship scheduled for Lagos beginning from Sunday. The 7 countries expected to feature men and women teams are Nigeria, Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso and Niger Republic. Legacy Volleyball Club of Lagos will represent Nigeria in the men's category, while Nigeria Customs Volleyball Club will compete in the women's category. With 15 days to the tee-off of the West Africa Golf Tour Port Harcourt Classic in River State, Nigerian professional golfers are canvassing for improved corporate sponsorship of the sport in line with international best practices. This, they believe, will increase the purse prize, attract top professional golfers around the world, and in turn boost sports tourism in Nigeria.
Tour is going to grow, and when it grows, it becomes that people want to come to Nigeria to play. So like we go outside to play, people should come to our home and also try and do what we do outside.
The Port Harcourt Classic is the 3rd tournament of the West Africa Golf Tour with a $25,000 purse prize. In football, European football governing body UEFA has charged Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola with improper conduct during Tuesday's UEFA Champions League 1-2 defeat to Liverpool. Guardiola was sent to the stands after confronting the central referee Antonio Lahoz in the pitch at halftime, questioning the referee's decision. The case will be heard on the 31st of May 2018. With sports update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
Humility is one of the greatest virtues of man, especially one who occupies a public office. The late Senator Mustafa Bukar's sense of humility never knew bounds. In fact, most of his colleagues described Senator Bukar's modesty as par excellence. Dennis Adegunloye brings us highlights of a tribute-laden session to a true gentleman who represented Katsina North.
Senate leader Ahmed Lawan commenced tributes to the late legislator.
Let me urge the Senate to quickly and very expeditiously consider and pass those bills that our late colleague sponsored so that they can be in his name and also immortalize him through those bills.
It must be put on record that he came to seek for educational opportunities for his people.
Even when he was struggling with ill health, he still managed to come into the chambers to attend to issues relating to his people.
No one will come forward and tell you that he has had an issue with late Senator Bukar Mustafa.
May God Almighty grant the people of Katsina State and indeed his senatorial district the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss.
He's always dressing majestically with a turban.
Mustafa Bukar did his very best and we should emulate him.
What has happened is that he has translated to a better place than this place.
I was in Pompo when he came to Pompo, and since then we have been very close.
His civil servant by excellence,
who served in various capacities. He has always been a citizen, and he remained a citizen until he died.
He is a reconciler. He is also somebody that is destabilized, somebody who was gentleman to the core.
He is one person that is very close to Mr. President. But to my knowledge, Senator Mustafa Abubakar has never abused that relationship. He never took advantage or show what I call authority arrogance.
I wanted to personally condole the president.
He was a real technocrat, very good, very sound, and you could see that in his contributions. Very cerebral, and also had a lot of ideas.
Perhaps the most telling characteristic of late Senator Mustafa Abubakar was his humility. This was a man described as highly intellectual, versatile, and cerebral. And despite all this, and the fact that he represented President Muhammadu Buhari's constituency, he never flouted this nor took advantage of his relationship with the president. And as a special tribute to him, 2 of his critical bills will continue in the legislative process with a view to ultimate passage. From the National Assembly, I'm Dennis at Digunloye, NTA News.
Similarly, members of the House of Representatives reconvened to pay tribute to late Deputy Leader Buba Jibril and Senator Mustafa Abubakar, who passed on during the Easter break. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the mood in the Green Chamber 3 weeks after the death of Senator Ali Wakili was gloomy.
The mood in the House of Representatives was that of grief as the legislators pour eulogy in honor of their departed colleagues. Deputy Leader of the House, Buba Jibril from Kogi State, Senator Mustafa Abubakar from Katsina State, and former member Independence Ogunnewe from Imo State. At about 30 minutes past 11 o'clock in the morning, members took to the floor to pay their last respect to their fallen colleagues.
Every week, he will tell me he's going to his constituency to meet his people. That clearly shows that he's closer to his people.
Each time we had a problem to discuss with the 2 presiding officers, Mr. Speaker, especially when such problems had to do with our welfare, we tend to be afraid. Buba had always been our voice.
This is a great person, but it also tells us that we should reflect on our own lives.
With his son seated in the chamber as a guest, the late Buba Jibril was described as an astute and generous politician who impacted almost on all members of the House.
Yes, because of his gentle disposition, he will begin to make his point from that angle. And if you are not careful, you will think he was somebody that you can just push aside. But he will continue to be assertive until you listen to him.
Few months ago, the late Buba Jibril was in this chamber calling for adequate care for families of fallen Nigerian soldiers. Today, the former Speaker of Kogi State House of Assembly and executive member of Commonwealth Parliamentary Association for African Region is no more, with an empty seat that reminds his colleagues of his departure.
That the death of one man, a legislator, would have such an impact, a devastating impact, on the lives of millions and thousands and millions in his constituency.
For me personally, I've lost a friend, brother, and a confidant with whom we jointly weathered the storms of leadership of the House these past years.
Al Jannah be his final abode. We that were left behind, may our aim be to the glory of the Lord.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara thereafter led his colleagues to sign the condolence registers for the late legislators. With his death, the 8th House of Representatives has lost 6 members. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And the death has been announced of retired Air Vice Marshal Emmanuel Ikpeyong Idem, which occurred on the 14th of February 2018. A statement by his family says service of songs will be held at the Presbyterian Church of Nigeria, Hope Waddle Parish, Calabar, on Friday, 13th April 2018, while lying in state will be at his residence, Plot 7, Emmanuel Adam Crescent, Federal Housing Estate, Calabar, on Saturday, 14th April at 8 a.m. Funeral and memorial service at the Presbyterian Church of Nigeria, Hope Waddell Parish, will hold on Saturday, 14th April 2018 at 10 a.m. Interment follows immediately at his residence. May the souls of all the departed rest in peace. That's our package tonight on News Extra. We hope you have enjoyed it and we thank you for staying with us. I am Shion Olagunju. Have a good night.
This is the network service of the NTA.
This landslide has caused a near collapse.
Senate adopts measures to check the menace of degradation in parts of Delta State.
The budget was passed to run 12 months and it must run 12 months.
And senators insist on adherence to 2017 Appropriation Act. Say fiscal year must run full circle. Good evening, this is Inside the Senate. The Senate resumed yesterday, Tuesday, the 10th of April 2018, after the Easter break. In this edition of the program, we shall bring you reports on some of the motions considered before the Senate went on the short recess, as well as resolutions adopted, along with some committees' reports. Also in the package is the report of the visit to the Senate President by the Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies. We also have a report on another sad occurrence in the Senate, the death of Senator Mustapha Bukar. He died last Wednesday, the 4th of April 2018, barely 3 weeks after the death of Senator Ali Wakili. All these after the break. I am Wamday Tikam. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Senate resumed duty yesterday, Tuesday, the 10th of April 2018, after a short break taken to celebrate the Easter break. Before the break, the Senate, amongst other things, adopted some resolutions, one of which is the resolution to save the people of Tuomo in Burutu local government area of Delta State from the problem of landslide. Their representative in the Red Chamber, Senator James Manager, brought up the matter in form of a motion titled Landslide in Tuomo in Burutu local government area of Delta State. He called for measures by the federal government to save the people from the dangers that came with the landslide.
On the 14th of March 2018, the inhabitants of Tuomo town in Burutu local government area of Delta State were woken up by devastating and progressive landslides. This landslide has caused a near collapse of the shore protection wall built to prevent the moving waters from flooding and overtaking the community.
This thing that has happened, Mr. President, goes beyond just palliative relief measures. I believe the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and the Federal Ministry of Works should be engaged properly to design a sustainable shore control program for this community.
The following prayers were adopted. Mandates the Committee on Niger Delta to visit and inspect Tuomo town and report on the contents of the motion as soon as possible. urged the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) to take relief materials and services to the people of Tuomo, and urged the Niger Delta Development Authority (NDDC) and the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta to take steps to prevent the shore protection wall from total collapse. In another motion, Senator Aitai Aidoko Ali drew Senate's attention to a government circular to ministries, departments and agencies (MDAs), informing them that funds of the 2017 budget will be mopped up by the 31st of March 2018.
This circular,
according to him, the circular is a contravention of the provisions of the Appropriation Act, which provides that the 2017 budget should run till the end of May 2018.
This circular to agencies is causing panic in the system. It's causing panic in the country.
The budget was passed to run 12 months and it must run 12 months. The issue of mopping up end of March is not acceptable, and it's totally against the Appropriation Act, and they should comply and abide by the Appropriation Act.
Also Wednesday, the 28th of March 2018, the Senate approved a conference committee report on the Petroleum Industry and Governance Bill, following the presentation of the report by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Senator Tayo Alaso Adura.
On behalf of the members of the conference committee, we wish to thank the National Assembly for the opportunity given to us to work on the bill.
The Senate President commented on it.
I think we have again shown to not only investors in the country or outside the country that this National Assembly is very responsible in his area to do with laws regards the petroleum sector. So I commend you for this, and I'm sure with this we'll hopefully get the assent of Mr. President and open a new page in the petroleum industry in Nigeria.
The issue of lack of understanding of the workings of the legislature is now being addressed by the National Assembly. A committee on this has been inaugurated with the mandate of planning an interactive session with stakeholders to help generate better understanding and also create positive perception about the National Assembly. The target groups for the engagement include the legislature, executive, judiciary, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, as well as the general public. The committee is chaired by the Senate leader, Senator Ahmad Lawan, with members drawn from the Senate, House of Representatives, as well as the clerks of both chambers, amongst others. Let's take a break to open the Senate's notebook. Don't go away.
The Senate Standing or Ad hoc Committee, as the case may be, functions in various ways. 1. It holds regular meetings to deliberate on bills or other matters referred to it by the Senate. 2. It conducts fact-finding and investigative hearings to enhance quality of bills with a view to obtaining relevant information for oversight purposes. And 3. It also visits sites and agencies to obtain information and facts for greater insights on issues.
Welcome back from that break. The last-minute inclusion of a company, Vital International Limited, to be part of those bidding for the construction of the head office of the Police Service Commission was the subject of an investigative hearing by the Public Accounts Committee before the Easter break. Committee Chairman, Senator Matthew Urogide, spoke on the matter in his opening remark.
The crux of the matter was that the company that won that contract, Vital International Limited, was not originally in the picture through the technical bid. That company was brought in at the time you went to Public Bureau for Public Procurement to obtain your certificate of no objection. That company was smuggled in. And you have said that yes, the company was part of the bidding process from the beginning, from when the technical bid was done and of course to the time you did the financial bid.
A committee member followed with a question.
The Public Procurement Act 2007 is very specific. You open it up to competitive tender. If you are not on the list and last minute it gets there, then you and I are endangered. So we want to, where did Vital emanate from?
Responding to the issues raised, The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Police Affairs, Musa Istefanus, said Vital International took part in the bidding right from the beginning.
Vital was one of the people that actually made submissions, but they selected only 5 companies and sent them for pre-qualification or letter of no objection, to obtain a letter of no objection. But BPP said 2 additional companies were valid enough to be able to bid, to go in for financial bids as well. Both companies made submissions. Which companies are those? That is CCECC and Vital. And they were therefore included in that letter and brought to us.
If you say those documents have been sent to PPP and you cannot trace them, it's a different thing to say that PPP said that Vital and CCEC were qualified for financial bid, even though they did not go through TENCAB. Is that what you are saying?
When your document got to BPP, I saw the write-up from BPP saying that these 2 companies should be included because in their view and in the document that they have, their data analysis, that they have the capacity, the technical capacity to have been included. Why is it difficult? Is it that it's not in your archive, or that the question is not clear enough?
I came up with that letter that added 2 companies to the 5 that we initially recommended. So since then, when the committee asked us to bring the hard copies, I went to BPP on the following day. That was on Thursday, I think, to ask for those documents. Then the director of compliance, who I met, I showed a copy of that letter which says we should add the 2 names. They said they will ask somebody to go through the archives to get the documents.
The committee, however, insisted on more evidence to prove that Vital International Limited took part in the bidding when it commenced.
They want to see, the advert that was made, those that responded to that advert technically, for your consideration, and then of course how you evaluated the bids, bring them to us, so that we're able to find out if that company really, was part of the bidding process, from the beginning.
Meanwhile, the Committee on the Ease of Doing Business in Nigeria, constituted by the Senate President with the task of evaluating the nation's tax system and possible reforms, presented a progress report shortly before the Senate went on the Easter break. Committee Chairman and Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Ladi Hamalai, spoke on the progress of work so far.
Approval. The committee has met once or twice, and we've constituted ourselves into several groups. I think there's a group, a team that will do the legal harmonization, as to harmonize all the laws that are relevant to taxes in Nigeria. We have 2 or 3 other expert teams that are all represented here. Each has been given an assignment, and we meet sometime in April to harmonize a report and organize a workshop. That report to bring in wider views of various stakeholders. One of such.
She added that more meetings are being planned with stakeholders in Abuja and Lagos in order to take more inputs from them.
At the end of the day, we expect to present a report that a steering committee, which are also in the process of establishing, comprising of senators, will look into more details, and finally present the report as well as attending legislations that the committee would have recommended for early passage in the National Assembly.
Responding, Senate President Bukola Saraki commended the committee for taking its assignment seriously, while noting that the nation's tax revenue is one of the lowest in Africa and therefore called on the committee to work towards improving it.
Country like ours that wants to grow the kind.
And away from political matters, African Queen Krona reveals his political ambition as Mariah Carey treats bipolar disorder. Join us for details on Entertainment News. It's nice to have you join us on Entertainment News. Reports making the rounds have it that the Lagos State Police Command, in a statement, says it has decided to charge late Alize's husband to court for 2-count charge of murder. This is said to be based on the information gathered by detectives after the alleged murder was committed. The late singer was reportedly murdered by her husband last week. Unconfirmed reports have it that Two-Face Idibia has indicated his interest in vying for a political office. Their test, while speaking with journalists recently, said he's keen on affecting lives positively and will soon pick up the challenge of a political position. Nollywood multiple role interpreter Patience Ozoko now has her 16th grandchild. The actor shared the news of the bundle of joy on her social media handle. And out to the foreign scene, Diamond Platinum Award-winning R&B star Mariah Carey has revealed that she has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The singer in an interview stated that she's now in therapy and taking medication for bipolar 2 disorder, which involves periods of depression as well as hypomania. And that's it from our entertainment desk. Up next in our lineup is Sports Update.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development Tuesday redeemed its pledge of immediate monetary rewards to the Nigeria medal winners at the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. The 4 gold medalists, Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Roland Ezurike, Ndidi Nwosu, and Esther Oyema, each received $5,000 from Sports Minister Solomon Dalung. Lucy Ejike and Kehinde Paul, who won silver in para-powerlifting, and Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, who equally won silver but in shot put, were given $3,000 each. The table tennis team, which equally won silver, were given $9,000 to be shared among the 4. Shegun Toriola, Bode Abiodun, Aziz Jamiu, and Omotayo Olajide. Coaches were rewarded with same amount of money as their athletes. Meanwhile, Esther Oyema, who set a new world record by lifting 131 kg in the women's lightweight powerlifting final Tuesday, has joined other medalists in pleading for an audience with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. According to them, meeting the president in Abuja after the games will further boost their morale and encourage other physically challenged athletes. In football, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says his side came through the wild wind to beat Manchester City 2-1 and progress to the UEFA Champions League semi-final on a 5-1 aggregate. On his part, Edin Dzeko of Roma, who scored the first goal, said they fear no one, having edged out Barcelona with a 3-0 victory and qualified to the semis on away goals rule as aggregate stands at 4-4. The sports update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
And that's a news package at this hour. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
brings you broadcast service wherever and whenever through our social media platforms, now live on just a click away. Global news, sports, business reports, politics, issues, events and happenings around the world, your favorite past and present TV programs, drama, documentaries, and for your news headlines, log on to www.youtube.com/NTA2Lagos. Watch, download, comment, and subscribe free. It's simply www.NTA2Lagos and explore our world of news and events. Available in all smartphones, iPads, and all Android phones. Like our Facebook page, NTA2Lagos Network Center. You can tweet us at NTA2LNC. NTA2Lagos Network Center, your reach out station.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Hold it! Me! I don't come out my hand from oil bunkering.
General, what you gonna yarn? What did the yarn say? I don't understand though.
Because they spoil our water and our environment. And they cause our people serious harm. Militants say, you know good. Me, I not do again Sam. Because why? Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
NTA.
On the news tonight, Nigeria Customs reiterates commitment to fight against smuggling and injurious goods. Standards Organization of Nigeria inaugurates surveillance unit to check influx of substandard products. Plus latest in the world of entertainment and sports. Good evening and welcome to NTA2 News. I'm Elizabeth Omori. The Nigeria Customs Service Federal Operations Unit Zone A has intercepted 570 parcels and 78 sacks of cannabis sativa weighing 1,550 kilograms. While disclosing the seizure at a press briefing in Lagos, the controller of the zone, Mohammed Uba, says ridding the country of injurious and dangerous goods remain the agency's topmost constitutional responsibility. Michael Olale reports.
Section 46 of the Customs and Excise Duty Act authorizes the Nigerian Customs Service to jealously safeguard the federal government policy on importation. Fulfilling this mandate informed the periodic exhibition of seizure with the aim of protecting the health of Nigerians and ensuring that the country do not become a dumping ground for contrabands and illegal goods. Prominent among seized items include 64 exotic vehicles, 6,003 bags of rice, 431 jerrycans of vegetable oil, 1,550 kilograms of cannabis intersected along the axis of Ogun State. The controller, while handing over the narcotic drug to the National Drug Law and Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, for further investigation, lamented the negative effect on societal norms.
Taking this
in most cases, I'm sure they do not have sound mind. And we need sound mind for the productive process of the economy.
He observed that the indiscriminate importation of prohibited goods is obviously robbing the country of capital flight and apparently reducing the possibility of addressing unemployment.
Goods that are not allowed to come in, you bring them in. That also goes a long way to kill our local industry and brings in unemployment.
Within the quarter under review, the Nigerian Customs Service Federal Operations Unit (ZOA) says goods with duty-paid value of 4.8 billion naira were intercepted, while goods with duty-paid value of 1.4 billion naira were intercepted between March and April this year. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
In line with the anti-corruption crusade on the ease of doing business in the country, the Standards Organization of Nigeria has inaugurated a surveillance investigation and monitoring unit with certified standard officers to assist in carrying out quality assurance services aimed at reducing the influx of substandard products into the country. Government's effort towards harmonization of standards within the African region and the world at large aimed at reducing substandard products is beginning to yield positive results. This is evident with the inauguration of a surveillance, investigation and monitoring team charged with the responsibility of gathering information on life-endangering products. The team is to provide periodic data on reduction of fake products and report same to the Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria. The Director General, Osita Aboloma, said the unit was formed to promote effective service delivery as well as assist Nigerians get value for their money.
It is to safeguard genuine manufacturers and importers of goods and services in Nigeria. So we have to prevent the influx of substandard goods into Nigeria to prevent unfair competition with law-abiding citizens in Nigeria.
Isa Sulaiman is the coordinator of the team.
With the key agencies in Nigeria that deal on information, and that is the Customs Service, the police, the Department of Security Services. So that has been established at the topmost level of management, and we've been given directives with terms of reference.
The surveillance, investigation and monitoring team is expected to commence collaboration with the Federal Operations and Pre-Arrival Assessment Report Unit of the Nigeria Customs in gathering and sharing information on fake products imported or produced locally. Lagos State Government has announced plans to deploy innovative technology and globally tested resources to achieve its goal in marketing a tourism master plan. Commissioner for Tourism and Culture Steve Ayoride made this known during a press briefing at the Secretariat in Alausa. Nosa Ursula reports.
According to the commissioner, the state government realized early that tourism is one of the pillars of the creative economy, which could boost the internally generated revenue of any country.
All the stakeholders that we are already planned to meet, or many of them that we have met separately, even before the summit, so you will have everybody, as you will have people from those that you can call the promoters of spiritual tourism. Lagos State, for example, in the whole of the country, has two or three of the churches that have their headquarters in Lagos State control 90% of spiritual tourists who come, into Lagos.
On the proposed release of Lagos tourism event calendar, Ayorinde said the idea is to help tourists plan their movement around the major tourism events that will happen in Lagos in 2018.
On the board of Lagos State Art Council, for example, they are also doing a lot to speak to their industry. Kunle Afolayan is on the board of Lagos State Art Council. Joke Silva is there. Auntie Nike Okundai of Nike Art Gallery, is there. Desmond Elliott is a big star, without a doubt. He's also, these are people who are like our ambassadors in the sector. Our field will not be South African. Our field will not be Charlie in Ghana. Our field is Lasgidi.
Also present at the briefing is the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Fola Adeyemi, and senior officials of the ministry. In Lagos, Nusa Usula, NTA News.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has pledged his administration's commitment to ensuring that students of tertiary institutions in the state have access to quality education. The governor made the pledge at a sensitization program organized for students of tertiary institutions in the state. Nusa Usula once again reports.
If you want to do well in this program, it's about your attitude. You mustn't allow excuses in your life, because for you to succeed in life, those are the traits you need.
The impact of qualitative education as the strongest weapon to fight poverty and a useful pillar for nation building and economic prosperity cannot be overemphasized. Considering the generally acclaimed status of education in the development of the society, the Akinwumi Ambode-led administration is always at the forefront of according education the attention it deserves. The governor, who was represented by his special advisor on education, Obafela Bank Ulemo, explained that investing on education would help to significantly improve people's lives as it benefits the society and the world as a whole.
Experience has shown us that 13 weeks is a lot, but we have a lot more to teach them. So the 6 week academy is like to prepare them for what they're going to learn during the 13 weeks program. I mean, we're very excited about the turnout. You can see that they're really excited about it. You know, so for us, it's a mandate the governor gave us. This is a federal institution, but it's in Lagos. So we're committed to ensuring that Ready Set Work is available to both our state-owned schools and our federal-owned schools. UNILAG joined us last year, and we're here in Yabatech now.
I will enjoy all other states to take you from Lagos State. If this is done, I think the sky is the limit for the country, because we will be talking of the issue of unemployment will be eradicated, and of course we'll be getting over it gradually if other states can take you from Lagos State. I think it's a wonderful program.
The special advisor also stated that the program is in line with government's commitment in ensuring that every student that graduates from any tertiary institution in Lagos State is prepared for work as an employer of labor or a value-adding employee. In Lagos, Nusa Usula, NTA News.
Enhancing electoral process through the deployment of technology is one of the antidotes that can guarantee the integrity of Nigeria's election. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria called for total inclusiveness by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in its quest to make fresh injections into the conduct of elections through the use of technology. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to make 2019 general elections ICT-based is premised on the resolve of the electoral body to improve the processes of election in Nigeria. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria want INEC to master the dynamics in ICT deployment, involve the stakeholders in achieving this process, and guide against saboteurs.
We can also look at, the larger political process where we can use technology in constituency delimitation. We can use technology, in getting to know how political parties behave, particularly their databases.
You must make the technology to do the back-end job, or if the man cannot perform it. So you have to look at the literacy level of Nigeria as deep penetration of IT.
Technology will advance our electoral integrity, but the attitude of the politicians themselves in doing what naturally happens when you introduce counter technology.
Others called for change in people's attitude and collaboration between the Independent National Electoral Commission and other relevant agencies in getting accurate data.
And I would also frankly call on Mr. President, using the powers vested in him in the Cybercrime Act of 2015, to designate the electoral process, not just what INEC does, but the broader process, as a critical national information infrastructure.
We try to synergize efforts and then to synthesize. This is mainly the role of the National Orientation Agency.
They all agreed that adopting appropriate technology will improve the credibility of Nigeria's electoral processes. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Nigeria, alongside France, Argentina and Romania, have been elected members of the Global Steering Committee of the Open Government Partnership, OGP. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, announced this while addressing newsmen in Abuja. Lami Ali reports.
Partnership is a multi-stakeholder global initiative with membership covering 75 countries, which focuses on improving transparency and accountability at all levels of government through citizens' engagements. The role of the steering committee, which is the executive decision-making body of OGP, involves developing, promoting and safeguarding values, principles and interests of the initiative to ensure sustainability. The President Buhari administration in 2016 joined the initiative with the submission of the National Action Plan to further deepen the reforms put in place to confront corruption and block leakages of resources. The minister, represented by the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary, Dayo Akpata, reiterated the resolve of government to promote citizen inclusion by ensuring access to information to foster the culture of openness and participatory governance.
As the only African country that will be on the OGP Steering Committee during our tenure, we shall continue to uphold the ideas of open government through regular sharing of experience and cross-fertilization of ideas among other countries.
As of last year, the President appointed 3 auditors to audit every account that is related to asset recoveries. And again, this underscores the fact that the government wants to deal with any issues arising from asset recovery.
The election of Nigeria into the Global Steering Committee less than 2 years after joining the Open Government Partnership further attests to the global recognition of the present administration's commitment to transparency, accountability, and being responsive to the needs of citizens. In Abuja, Lami Ali, NTA News.
You're watching NTA2 News. Still to come, more support for President Muhammadu Buhari's second term in office. This and more on political notes when we return after this time out. Stay with us.
Lagos Network Center brings you broadcast service wherever and whenever through our social media platforms, now live on just a click away. Global news, sports, business reports, politics, issues, events and happenings around the world, your favorite past and present TV programs, drama, documentaries, and foreign news headlines. Log on to www.youtube.com/NTA2Lagos. Watch, download, comment, and subscribe free. It's simply www.NTA2Lagos and explore our world of news and events. Available in all smartphones, iPads, and all Android phones. Like our Facebook page, NTA2Lagos Network Center. You can tweet us at NTA2LMC. NTA2Lagos Network Center, your reach out station.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You're here already?
No, now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me jab questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time thing.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I am sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Later.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks Thanks for staying with us and welcome to Political Notes. President Muhammadu Buhari has officially declared to recontest in the 2019 presidential election for the period of another 4-year term. The president made the declaration during the National Executive Committee meeting of the All Progressives Congress APC at the party's headquarters in Abuja. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
Addressing executives and stalwarts of the All Progressives Congress at the APC NEC meeting, President Muhammadu Buhari emphasized on the need for the party officials and other Congress members to always adhere strictly to the constitution of both the country and the party for the overall development of Nigeria, considering the provision of Article 31, Section 1, Subsection 3 of the party constitution, stipulating 30 days resignation of any current executive before reseeking for election. The president said this may not be practically obtainable. To that regard, he suggested for the need of the party to consider granting waivers to party officials at all levels to enable them to contest for any elective position.
Accordingly, the party may consider granting waivers to party executives at all levels so that they are not disenfranchised from participating in the elections should they wish to do so, provided by
He added this will be of great advantage for the current executives to vie for any elective position within the party.
Necessary waivers should also be extended to executives at the world level whose tenures may have elapsed, and indeed to anyone knocking at our doors from other political parties. This is in the spirit of the right to freedom of association guaranteed by the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended.
The chairman of the party, John Odigi Oyegun, emphasized on the need for the members of the NEC and other party loyalists to maintaining the spirit of unity and peace for the overall development of the party and the nation in general. He added that despite the current happening within the APC, the party is stronger and better.
We are here today to finally resolve this issue and move ahead as a united, strong political fighting force. I must, especially on all our behalf, thank Mr. President for his rare act of graciousness and humility by allowing the further consideration of a subject matter even after he had announced his preference.
At the closed door of the meeting, the president declared his intention to recontest for the 2019 presidential election for another 4-year term. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, sheds more light on this.
The president has made his decision. He is going to be a candidate in the 2019 general election. He chose to announce this at the meeting of the National Executive Committee of the party. He said in his words that he wants to do the honor of making the first announcement before the members of the National Executive Committee. So yes, the decision has been made. The president will seek the APC ticket. He will run in 2019. 100% of the members of the NEC stood and greeted him with a loud ovation and endorsed his decision. So it's an indication that this is a decision that is in line with the popular will of Nigerians.
He described the action as a welcome development by all party members. I am Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Buhari Support Group Center says it will support the president's second-term bid. Director General of the body, Umaru Abubakar Dembo, said this during a media briefing on President Muhammadu Buhari's declaration to seek a second term in office. Oku Ekpenyong has details.
Out achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2.5 years in office, to include improved security and electricity, growth in agriculture, as well as massive infrastructural development across the country. Director General of the Buhari Support Group Center, BSGC, Umaru Dembo urges persons who are opposing Mr. President to support the popular desire of Nigerians to give President Buhari time to complete the good work started.
We in the Buhari Support Group Center are convinced that by the time our dear President finishes his second term in office, he would have had the template for good governance in Nigeria planted.
It is government of the people, by the people, for the people, and so on. So that is what Buhari is trying to do. He's not doing it to do it for the elites.
We believe it was time to come. Nigeria will appreciate, will be happy, will be much more happier than now.
And about age, we have given it to the youth before. We have seen their performance, and he's doing more better. And we, due to the level of job he has done so far with his running mates, vice president, I think they are doing a good job.
The Buhari Support Group Center is committed to the legacies of the president with a view to mobilizing the people to vote massively in his favor in 2019. In Abuja, Oku Ekpeyong, NTA News.
And away from political matters, African Queen Krona reveals his political ambition as Marakari treats bipolar disorder. Join us for details on Entertainment News. It's nice to have you join us on Entertainment News. Reports making the rounds have it that the Lagos State Police Command, in a statement, says it has decided